Okay, all right. Let us start with today's session. Today's session we will discuss about how to map the subscriber data, and then we will also um, prepare the mail content that is to be sent to the mail service module. Okay, so this was our yesterday's discussion. So yesterday's discussion, we what we did that is that was related to report. So we created a XLS report, and then we also looked at various various things like the library, and then how the sheet is organized, and how the workbook is organized, and how the worksheet is organized, and how the row and column is organized. Okay, so we have generated a report here in an Excel sheet. Now next task is to um, collect these two items, that is news and collect data, and put it in the so we'll just make it ready to be sent to the mail module. Okay, so let us look at the data structure that we are using for subscriber data, and then we will traverse through it. It's actually quite simple, but once we start writing code for in a module, what happens is we tend to forget things. That is because there is always when context switch between the function building functions between the modules. For example, if you are working on a certain function, your variable names are stored in a head, and you're continuously working on that, and your context is only in that function. So when you shift to another function in another module, all your variables that are currently in your mind have to be shifted to a totally different function. So this is one of the problems while developing. So that is why we always want to look at or write a comment, or write somewhere in your notepad, or somewhere in order to quickly look at the data structure that we are using. So once we know how the data is organized, incoming data is organized, we can easily traverse through it, and then we can accordingly modify it. Okay, so let us look at the data structure. So it was something like there was an email ID, and then there were states. Okay, so let us try to map it. Okay, map it with what? Map it with the content that we have extracted from state-wise data. Okay, okay. So let us what are we trying to map? So I'll just draw a line here, and okay. This is a data structure for subscriber data, for subscriber. Okay, so here is the data which is coming from the state-wise data. Okay, which is coming from the JSON data. Okay, so let us take keep it as a input JSON, or now we have converted it to dictionary. Okay, now what we have here is we have state, and we have active cases. Okay, in our particular case, we just have for a given state, it simply returns for a given state. The function returns the total number of active cases. Okay, so input is only state, and output is active. Okay, now subscriber data is like this. It's mail ID, and that is the key, and states, state 1, state 2, and so on are the values. So this particular uh, value is actually uh, again a list, because we need so we have a combined data structure, data type, that is we have a list inside a map, and this is a key. Okay, so our idea is to traverse through these states. So for a given um, mail id, get all the states and then match it with the state and simply get the count. Yesterday we actually did this, but we did it in a bulk way. That means we got all the states in one shot using dot get keys, and something like okay we got all states in one shot, and then we traversed through it in for loop for I in all states. Okay, instead of all states, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a specific state and then get the data. So this is how we try to map this mail id, and then this is anyways it's mapped to this particular state, and then we pass that to our function, which gets the for a given state it gets the active number of cases. Okay, so that is we learned about the data structure and the mapping, and then we also learned about how to traverse this, and let us look at how do we send a mail. So before sending mail we need to prepare the content. So now what we have is we have something like let me pick blue. Okay, we have in fact we have what is that called, a map or a dictionary. Okay, containing mail and then state and then its active cases, and then we have news which is coming as a list, and then we have an excel sheet, XLS. So there are multiple items that is to be sent in the mail. So we will just prepare the data, and then tomorrow we will look at how to send a mail, and what are the various how do we in an object oriented way, how do we represent the mailbox, and what is the protocol behind that, and those things we'll cover tomorrow. But for now we'll just focus on this specific item. So we will just try to map in the code, and then we will jump back to the code. Okay, so let me just move to the code. Okay, okay, so I was just playing around with the code, and I wrote the code a while ago. Okay, so what are we trying to do? So just to revise. Okay, we have our project outline here. We have input data, mail service, news, and reports, and then we have settings here where we have subscriber data here. So we have three people and a few states there that they are interested in, and then we have reports where all the functions get aggregated and then called. Okay, and then we have news, which we are doing web scraping for a particular newspaper, that is Deccan Herald. And then we also have a mail service. We haven't written the code, but tomorrow we'll discuss about mail service. And then input data, where we are collecting the data from an API. That API is nothing but this API. Okay, this API. Okay, so having revised that, let us go back to our reports. Okay, so let us look at the function which is aggregating it. Okay, so that we have a point and we can move back from there. Okay, Aggregate data is what we decided to name the function, which aggregates the data from various sources. Okay, so here let me go a little bit up. Okay, so aggregate data is where the subscriber data and process news and Excel sheet, everything gets aggregated here. Okay, so let us just go into the drawing mode so that we have context while discussing. Okay, okay. So in this case, um, so this particular function called as aggregate data is aggregating data from COVID stat wise, which is um, API data, okay, which is inside this input data, and then this process news, which is inside this. Okay, and then prepare Excel sheet, which is in the which is below. Okay, we have written a function below. Okay, in the same this one. In fact, we can create another module or another file for this particular job, um, but I have decided to put it in the same file. So it doesn't matter for a small project like this, but we should always keep things in a different files and different functions as we discussed. So this is a different function. Okay, and then so this is where we are aggregating. So this data which we are storing as variables, all this data is in this is in a map. Now this is in a, I think it's in a list. mm, no, it's a map. Okay, no, yes, because map contains link as a key, and then the headlines as value. Okay, this is the map. This is a map. This is again a map we just discussed, and then this is a file. This is a file name, and this is a file. Okay, so we need to prepare this. That means we need to iterate through these things, and as we discussed, we need to map with the subscriber data, which is nothing but here subscriber data. So that is that we did yesterday. So we looped through the subscribers, and then um, we got the number of active cases. Okay, let us just go back to that code. Let me exit out of it. Okay, process API data. In fact, it's a good practice that we can keep this in a separate function. Okay, but okay, the steps are simple. I have just loaded the JSON and converted into the dictionary, so which is present here. So this data is converted into a map or a dictionary, and then yeah, we use map and dictionary for the same thing, because the dictionaries are implemented using something called as hash maps. So don't get confused about it. So this is a map, and then we are traversing through the map, and we are getting the list of states and the mail ID. That means, let me go back here. So traversing through the map. So this is the map, and once we say get items, dot items, so it gives a tuple, it returns a tuple which is a mail ID and this complete value. So this value is a list. So again we have to traverse through that. So where is the reports? Okay, here. So we have got the map, we have catch hold of the map, we are getting list of states and mail ID, and then this is a temporary list, and then it looks same code as we discussed for all the states. So list of states and then get the state name. Only thing that we are doing here is our the basket that we discussed yesterday was a basket which was containing all the states. This was the basket that we discussed, because in order to prepare Excel sheet, we need all this, we needed all the states, and we called this as a basket, and then we're just updating this basket. Similarly, okay, so this code is actually similar. Okay. Instead of all states, what I am doing is I am going to a particular state. Okay, so I need to traverse it again with a loop. For a given mail ID, get all the list of states, and traverse through those list of states, and then get the total number of cases. It's the same function, it's a common function, uh, which we have defined here. So for a given state, it gives us the count. So that is all it does. And this is a temporary list, just to update, just to get the list of this particular data type, so which contains a state name and then total number of cases. Okay, so we are doing this only for a particular list of states, okay, not for all the states. And then finally, this is a basket. Then again, this basket we are updating into a bigger basket. Okay, so which is done here. So this is a bigger basket which is containing a temporary list. List is nothing but a simple mail ID, and okay, this is a element in this basket, mail ID and temp list. So this temp list will contain state name and total number of cases. Now if we have to see the output of the data structure, it would look like okay, it would look like this. Okay, now we have a big basket here. Big basket here. Okay, so let me just put it here. This is a big map, and then we have a list of states here, and we're traversing through this, and then we have a smaller element which is again a state, something like Karnataka, and total number of cases, say 666. Okay, okay, and then in another iteration, we are collecting for Kerala, something like 450. Okay, so we are adding one by one in a loop. So in first iteration, maybe I add this, in second iteration I am adding this. Okay, so this is a big basket, and inside that there are small other elements. Okay, so that is exactly what we are doing. So finally, what do I get? I get a subscriber map which contains key as mail ID, and then he has his states, his interstate states, and then he has inside those states he has the active cases. Okay, so this is the data structure. We'll just dump it and see, so that it is clear. Okay, so this is how we need to form a picture in our minds, and then only then we know how the data is being passed, and how it is how it should be handled. Say for example, if there is a bug, so unless we know the data structure, we cannot solve the bug. All right, so let me get out of this drawing mode. Okay, so let me quickly run it. I'll just comment the processing news because it takes some time. Okay, I'm just initializing to empty dictionary so that I don't get an error. Okay, let us run our program. Okay, I have not defined it here. Let me comment this as well. Okay. Mail content is not defined. Okay, this as well, but we got the output here, so let me show that. Okay, forget about this line. So I'm printing that data structure just that we discussed here. So one person, that is a subscriber, has an email ID, and then he wants some data out of his interested states. That is, in this case it is Karnataka, and the total number of active cases is this. The reason that we are keeping in a list is because one might need for multiple states. For example, this subscriber has shown interest in two states. Okay, and then we have two elements, Karnataka and Kerala. Okay, and this person has is interested in subscribing to three states, and from what we have here, we have successfully transformed using this data, and then we used another data here and mapped it, and now we are getting an output which is now manageable to be sent as mail. So if we look back, the mail has content which says, okay, Karnataka, this number of cases, and then an attachment which is for all the states, and then there is a second thing, and then there is a news. So these three items are needed to be sent in a mail. Okay, so that is about mapping and mapping and the output and about the data structures. Now let us move to next stage. So we need to prepare a mail content. So we cannot simply directly send send a map or a list directly. So we need to send it in a neat text, because we cannot simply dump the data structure because they are objects as is. So what we'll do is we will learn about how do we send the mail. Okay, so mail content. Okay, I'll just remove this. In fact, this is a simple thing. Okay, there is news data. I am getting it here. Let me remove this line. Okay, so subscriber data. Now I have raw data. Now I need to traverse through. I need to traverse through this so that I send this as text data and pick this news and pick this Excel sheet. Okay, in order to do that, I have to simply iterate through this, and for every mail, this data that is news data, and the file is common. So I will just simply package it and send. But here you can see that I'm not sending the dictionary. Here I am sending a mail and stats, but this is in fact it's not in a text format yet. So we need to write a couple of lines of code here in order to send this. Either we can handle that in send mail, but I don't want send mail to be bothering about what type of data structure is coming. So what we'll do is we will simply send mail ID. We'll send the text that is the mail actual content of the mail, and then we will concatenate these two, because these two are text part of the mail, and then we will send this as an attachment. Okay, so if I have to write a small function, so this function is needs to be defined. Where is mail service? Here. Okay. Okay, so let me define a function and then move it there. Okay. So this send mail will we will just define it so that tomorrow we can discuss about how to send the mail and what are the what is a mail and how that mail protocol works, things like that. Okay, so I'm going to extract the text out of this. So I'll just define a function here, send mail. So send mail, any mail, simply this should be an API which takes maybe since I'm sending to only one person, so I can have mail ID. Okay, so in fact we can send a list of mail IDs that is much that will help us to avoid this for loop, and maybe we'll just get the stats and for that particular ID, and then we can make it as a text. Okay, but just to simplify, we'll use a single mail ID for now. Later we can modify it. Okay, there is a mail ID and there is maybe subject line. Okay, subject line, we will define the subject line, and then we have mail text. Okay, so we will format this using those two data, and then we'll also send attachment. Okay, so these are the simple things that this will contain. Okay, so print send mail. Okay, so now I have defined I had an interface already. Now I have defined what kind of data that should go into the mail ID. Now we will just format this. This subject line is anyways it's already defined in the requirement, so we will just format that. So we'll just define subject line. Subject line is equal to something like COVID update. Maybe we'll put a date here. Okay, there is a there is a library which gives us date and time. Okay, I'll just put it as one variable for now. Okay, and let's look at that function and COVID update. In fact, why do we need date? Okay, we don't need date because the mail itself gets the data stamp, so date stamp. Okay, so COVID update. State wise stats. Okay, so that should be our subject line, just keeping it simple. And then let us look at mail text. Mail text should contain, but wanted to put it here because I'm traversing through that, and then I'm getting it. Okay, so mail ID and stats. As we know that stats is like this. Okay, this is my stats. So we need to parse traverse through the stats dictionary, and then for the mail text. Okay, so in fact we can do it in a shortcut way, but for our example I'll just uh, put it as state and active cases. Okay, in stats dot items, and then mail text is equal to I'll define mail text here because I'm going to aggregate this. That means I'm going to add traverse to the states and add more. Okay, it just needs to be in a string because the mail send mail will take only the string. So I'm going to format here as mail text is equal to state, and then maybe I will add I will add a colon. So this is string concatenation, so state plus this one, a colon like this, and then I will put active cases. Let me rename this active cases. Okay, and then we have a mail text with this state news. Okay, good. Now once we have done this, we have to come out of this, and then we have to collect news data here. Okay, news data is in again a key value pair. So let us again put for it's a link, for link, and then there is a link and there is headline. Okay, so always try to use variable names where you can when you look back at the code, it's obvious. If we use something like ij, it will be a little bit confusing, but if you can manage, you can do that. But I suggest to use proper names so that your code is to be read by others as well. So use proper names. For link, headline, what to traverse, news data dot items. All right, good. So now we need to append this link and headline to this text. So just before appending, what we will do is we will add a dash line, something like a mail text is equal to mail text plus a dash line. A dash line, I have defined the dash line here. Dash line is nothing but just a variable which is containing this. Okay, this is just a variable. Okay, don't get confused. Okay, so a dash line. Before that, I'm going to add a new line. New line is nothing but an enter character. Okay, new line and dash line, and after dash line again I'm going to in fact there are shortcut ways to do this, but just to make sure our thinking and the data structure is neat, and we are doing line by line, and there are shortcut ways which you can simply use. There is a statement called join. We can simply use that join statement, and we can join everything in a nice fashion. But so our mail text will contain statewise stats, plus in the next line there will be a dashed line, and then we will have news. So news format would be something like mail text. Again I'm going to append to that mail text plus a link and maybe a colon. In fact, we can do it, we can put it in a table. We can also use HTML tags to directly send as a HTML text to the mail, but we'll just simplify the text first. Link, and then we have news. What is that? Headline. All right. Okay. Now that is done. after this, I am again need to format this mail text would contain your signature as well. So mail text would contain mail text. Again, we are appending to mail text plus something like I'll just put it as signature, a variable. I'll just define it, and a new line. Okay. So let us define signature is equal to regards, and then we can put it here, put a new line, and then we can say something like automated mail service. Okay, so this is how the text should look like. So let us try to print this particular before sending mail. We will try to look at how the mail text looks like the exercise that we did. I'll just comment the send mail part. Okay. All right. So for signature mail content. All right. So mail content, mail signature. I need to print it here. Print mail text. So mail text is for a particular subscriber. So I'll move it here. Let us try to I'll just print our dash line so that we have we can read it well. Dash line. I hope it works. We wrote a couple of lines. Okay. There is okay. Where is the problem? Okay, indentation. What is the indentation level here? Not this. What is for indentation headline? Give me a moment. Let me just take this out. Okay, so the problem is in the print statement. Okay, now it should be okay. It's collecting data. List has no items. 59. Okay, what are we traversing? I think we're traversing the wrong thing. Mail ID and stats. Okay, stats is already already a list. Okay, stats is already a list. Okay, state and active cases. So for in This is stats. Stats is in a list. List I'm getting each state. Okay. State data. I'll just mention the state data, and then state data here. Okay. So 1, 2. Okay. So let me run it again. Invalid syntax. Okay, it's alright. State data. Abort it. Clear. It's collecting data from Deccan Herald. So actually we can see today's news. Too many values. Okay, that's the news part. Let us look at 61. Okay, 61. What am I doing? State data. So okay, state data items. Okay, because it's a dictionary. So we are dealing with a lot of data types, and there are nested data types, and we are traversing through that. So it might get a little bit challenging, but once you try to finish this, then your mind will be thinking in terms of data structures and in terms of stepwise thinking. So that is why we need to do this, and then it will be very nice, and you can do anything with in your project. Okay, there's one more problem. 62 is aggregate data. 62 state, and active cases. Okay, active cases we are putting it as a number. We need to convert that into a string. In fact, we can just print the data structure for every line, and then we can do that. That will be a little bit clear, but this is a nice way of remembering as well. Scraping data. Oh god. 65. Okay. 65 news data. Oh, we have already converted it to string. Okay, nice. Let us go back here. Process news. Let us see what is it returning. Okay, we have already processed it here. Okay, that's nice. Okay, we don't have to process it here. So because we have already taken that data and put it as a string already. So now for headache is gone. I can simply say news data here. Okay. News data, and I can simply reload this. So this is like we have almost done our 80% of our work here. The only thing is we just need to send a mail, which is actually simple, but we'll just jump a little bit deep into the mail because there are a lot of options in mail, and you can automate mail sending with formatted rich text data. Okay, now we have got the data. You can see that this complete thing, let me look for the dash line above. Okay, this complete thing, let me copy this. For okay, and I just put a new tab here. Okay, this is our mail content. Okay, for this is mail content for one person. Okay, so the the first subscriber, that is here, we can look here. For the subscriber, he was interested in getting data from state Karnataka. So he has got the data for that particular state, Karnataka. Good. This is a specific data for our user, and then we have common news, that is headlines. So yeah, we just needed to add a new line here, but this is the idea. So in fact, we don't need to put the entire hyperlink here. We can in fact make this text as an hyperlink, which we will see in a while sending mail. Okay, but this is the today's headlines actually. Highest single day spike of this one, and Oxford COVID vaccine is promising. I think today's news will be mostly about vaccines and things like that. Okay, and then yeah, Bengaluru cop tests. Yeah, this is our news. This is common, and then there is another. Surprisingly, Kerala is active cases is zero. Okay. To, okay, another person. So he is interested in Karnataka and Kerala as well. Okay, so okay, this is third person. Okay, Andhra Pradesh, because we copied only last two. Uh, he is interested in Kerala, Andhra Pradesh. I think we pasted from Karnataka. So this is the last person's data. That is this person's data. He's interested in Karnataka, Kerala, and Andhra Pradesh. Of course, if you scroll up, we get all the other two data as well. Okay, so this is the mail content of for one person. This is a specific for one person, and then we also have an attachment here. Where is our reports? Okay, here. So we have formatted the text which is required by this particular function. We just wrote. We will move this into to the send mail, but the expectation of this particular send mail function is a mail ID. Okay, and then a subject line that is fixed here, and then there is mail text that we just saw in the notepad, and then the attachment is nothing but whatever we have generated in the previous lesson. Okay, I'm just returning a file name so that it knows where to pick up. So for now we are just putting up in the same place, and the best way is to always provide absolute path and set the current working directory somewhere in the beginning of the project, and then use that as a base directory, and then give the absolute path for this. Okay, for now we'll just take the Excel sheet from the same folder. Okay. So that is about today's lesson. So we discussed about these three things: data structure, we traversed through it, and we also formed individual mail content. Okay, so that was about it. Do you have any questions? Please ask. So especially while aggregating data, you will you'll have to stretch your mind a little bit, because you'll be moving from one function to another function, and a lot of things here. So you need to keep track of the data structures. So it will take time to get used to the. Yeah, a question. Okay. If no questions, we will close the session. Okay. So extraction of state-based data and mapping them to mail content, paper mail content. We have just finished the mail content, and then we will learn how to format the text as HTML for the mail. And in tomorrow's lesson, we will discuss about the mail and the mailbox and what are the different items that is involved in the mail module. Okay, so that's all I had. Thank you.